Welcome everybody to Tuesday night Bible study. You have me and you have Rick, who's here as well. You know, I'm going to keep offering this hybrid, but occasionally it might be nice to see you in here as well. When we're able and when we feel healthy and safe to do it, of course, and being a little tongue-in-cheek. It's nice that we can join together any way we can join together. Let's begin with our blessing for the study of Torah, as we used to say in Brooklyn, a little Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu Torah. Amen ve'amen. Chapter 42. There were food rations in Egypt. That's what we're picking up here. Remember, there is a famine going on everywhere. You know where there's not a famine right now is Temple B'nai Israel, because every space in that social hall is boxes for the food festival. If you wanted to feed an army of black and white cookies, we got it right now. Black and white cookies are everywhere. It's very distracting. And according to Sandy, I don't know if Sandy's on yet, but according to Sandy, it was the biggest truck she'd ever seen in her life was in our parking lot today to deliver massive amounts of deli meats. And so apparently it was quite a day. And so the refrigerators are packed. If you want to have something to eat, not here. Everything is pre-sold and packed away. But if you want to find fridge space, a little tougher. Anyway, tangents aside, let's begin with our study. Rick, you want to just lead us off?
When Jacob saw that there were food rations to be had in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you keep looking at one another? Now I hear," he went on, "that there are rations to be had in Egypt. Go down and procure rations for us there, that we may live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to get grain rations in Egypt. For Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers, since he feared that he might meet with disaster. Thus the sons of Israel were among those who came to procure rations, for the famine extended to the land of Canaan.
Okay, we're going to pause right there. And so Jacob, has a little wisdom. Get off your tuchuses. Get over there. I mean, come on. We're starving. Nothing's in the pantry. Publix is closed. You got to go. Got to go grab this food. Stop looking at each other. And so they go down. Very easy. But Benjamin stays. And why does Benjamin stay?
Because he's the favorite son.
He was the youngest.
He's the youngest, he's the baby, so to speak, and he's Rachel's other baby, other child, and so lost one already with Joseph, and Benjamin is Joseph's full brother, and so he ain't going anywhere, so we lost Joseph, according to at least Jacob's mindset. He thinks that Joseph is dead, and Benjamin is not meeting the same fate. He's a little bit now of a helicopter parent with that Benjamin. He's not letting Benjamin out of his sight. Rick, you want to give me a little more? Now, Joseph was
the vizier of the land. It was he who dispensed rations to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed low to him with their faces to the ground. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them and acted like a stranger toward them and spoke harshly to them. He asked them, "Where do you come from?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan to procure food." For though Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him.
It's interesting, here. So Joseph's brothers come, and you would think, it's been a few years, right? But I mean, you might recognize your brother, but not so much. Not so much here. The reasoning might be what? Why wouldn't they recognize?
They're expecting him to be the vizier.
Yeah, I mean, it's unexpected, right? They sold him into slavery. I don't think they would be imagining that he was going to be there as, Prince of Egypt, so to speak, that he would be in that position. There's also some commentary that speaks about how Joseph is all dolled up. in Egyptian garb, right? And so he's wearing all of the finery, all of the clothing, and so they wouldn't expect him in that kind of garb either. Maybe he grew a stylish goatee. So we don't know what happened. I mean, that could be anything. But they didn't recognize him. But he recognizes them, same schlubs as before, and so he sort of sees them. And, it has to be a surprise, right? I mean, it has to be something sort of out of left field. But Joseph pretty quickly sort of thinks on his feet. And, as we're going to see, there's going to be a little drama for a couple of chapters, some sibling rivalry stuff is going to, of course, bubble to the surface. And Joseph's going to have a little fun at his brother's expense, if you can call it fun. Joseph is not amused. And so he's going to mess with them a little bit.
But why would his brothers would also be Israelites?
Yeah.
So why would they kiss the ground like they were praying to him?
A great question, and it comes up in our holiday that we have in a few weeks, the holiday of Purim, where we have this idea that Mordechai, doesn't bow to Haman, because Jews don't bow, right? That's what we get. Is Jews don't bow. Yes. The problem is, we bow all the time. We love to bow. Bowing is awesome. The issue is bowing in terms of idolatry versus bowing as a sign of cultural respect. And so the Israelites, here, like any other people, they're in the presence of, the dude, this basically second to the king. And it's a sign of respect to bow. And so that is as long as it's culturally appropriate, Jewish tradition has less of an issue with them bowing. Abraham bows, to the Hittites. Other of them bow just when it's the social convention, like shaking someone's hand or whatever it might be, in the presence of the ones who are royalty or the ones who are seen in that status. You pay homage, you kiss the ring, Maybe in that case you don't kiss the ring because that actually is religious, right? The Pope has the fisherman's ring, so you actually can't kiss the ring, but you can bow, and pay homage, and then that's just it's a really good question, because we do see it in these different narratives, and so yes, but that's why they bow, because it's not religious; it's about showing respect.
Yeah, but they're coming, they're begging for food. They'll kiss anything and bow.
Yeah, exactly. They're begging for food. It's time for, please, sir, can I have some more? Little Oliver, it's important. They got to get a little nibble, a little nosh, a little bite, a little bissel or something. They don't want to go back empty-handed because it's a long way to the sizzler. So, recalling the dreams, Sharon. Tell me about the dreams, or at least, his recollections.
Recalling the dreams that he had dreamed about them, Joseph said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the land in its nakedness." But
always with naked. A lot of nakedness in Genesis. At least it's a different nakedness. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. But they said to him, "No, my lord. Truly, your servants have come to procure food. We are all of us sons of the same man. We are being honest. Your servants have never been spies." And he said to them, "No, you have come to see the land in its nakedness." And they replied, "We, your servants, were 12 brothers, sons of a certain man in the land of Canaan. And the youngest, however, is now with our father, and one is no more."
That's a nice way of putting it. One is no more.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Come on. And Joseph's right there. One just happened to, we don't talk about him. We don't talk about Joseph, They're going to want to talk to you about Joseph a lot, So for those of you who got the Encanto reference, I appreciate it. Others see the movie. It's good. So we have the 12 brothers, so they're sort of explaining the spiel there. And Joseph again, is messing with them, like he's gonna make their lives as difficult as possible, as we're gonna see here. And accusing them of being spies is just the beginning. But Joseph, I think, really, one wonders like how much of this, like maybe he thought for years, like what would happen if my brothers came to me? Like, what would I do? Sort of these like sort of fantasies that he might have had in his head. Like, you ever been like in a situation with somebody and you wish you would have said something or done something or whatever it might be if given the opportunity, and it never really happens, and it's all whatever, it's all this imagination, wish fulfillment, fantasies. And now Joseph's actually getting to play it out. So like maybe he had these thoughts in his head beforehand. Who could blame him? And that, but now we have to see what's going to happen with Joseph and his brothers. Now we have this dialogue where he is in a position of power. Joseph has the power over them because Joseph has the power over basically everybody right now. How is he going to treat his brothers in this moment? One cannot, again, blame him for having sort of hurt feelings. You remember that time you sold me into slavery? Not cool. That's not what he's saying just yet, of course. I think he's got bigger plans in mind. Sharon, you want to give me one more? But Joseph said to them,
But Joseph said to them, "It is just as I have told you. You are spies. By this you shall be put to the test. Unless your youngest brother comes here by Pharaoh, you shall not depart from this place. Let one of you go and bring your brother, while the rest of you remain confined, that your words may be put to the test, whether there is truth in you. Else, by Pharaoh, you are nothing but spies." And he confined them in the guardhouse for 3 days.
A little rough.
Yeah.
A little rough. He's not messing around here. The brothers, frankly, goofed a little bit, maybe a little off their guard, off their game. I'm mentioning the other brother. They didn't need to, but, they mentioned him. And little did they know, it's a problem. Now that they mentioned Benjamin, now they got themselves into trouble. And so Joseph says, by Pharaoh, sort of like saying, like, by God, this is what you're going to do. So he's into the part. Like, Joseph is putting on an Academy Award performance here. He'd like to thank the Academy. He's doing really well here. And again, sort of presenting them with this scenario. And just for the heck of it, how's 3 days of prison sound like? Show them what they've won behind door number 1, jail. So they get thrown into prison because he's not messing around. But Joseph decides to let him out after the 3rd day. Leah, you want to pick up from there on the 3rd day?
On the 3rd day, on the 3rd day, Joseph said to them, "Do this and you shall live, for I fear God. If you are being honest, let one of your brothers be held in place of detention, while the rest of you go and take home rations for your starving households. But you must bring me your youngest brother, that your words may be verified, that you may not die." And they did accordingly.
Okay, so they have a plan here now. It's not going to be all of them. It's going to be one of them, has to stay while everybody else can go home and pick up Benji and bring him along for the road trip.
Kat, wouldn't you think he'd keep most of them and only send one back?
Say again?
Wouldn't you think he'd keep most of them and just send one of them back?
Yeah, I think that was maybe his plans. I think he was thinking about, but I think he decided to, play another game with them, and have only one of them be in prison. The rest of them sort of go. I think it would have been much, much rougher if he had imprisoned all of them, except for one, and let that one go home. Yeah, I don't know. He's definitely playing some mind games, playing a little trick here on them.
One might not make it on his own either.
Oh, yeah, Rick was saying maybe one might not make it on his own. It's like it's always good to travel in pairs, both now and in the ancient Near East. It's good to have a buddy. The buddy system doesn't fail until it does. Okay, Leah, give me one more. They said to one another.
They said to one another, alas, we are being punished on account of our brother, because we looked on at his anguish, yet paid no heed as he pleaded with us. That is why this distress has come upon us. Then Reuben spoke up and said to them, did I not tell you, do no wrong to the boy? But you paid no heed. Now comes the reckoning for his blood. They did not know that Joseph understood, for there was an interpreter between him and them. He turned away from them and wept, but he came back to them and spoke to them. And he took Simeon from among them and had him bound before their eyes.
Oh, a little rough go here. So, the brothers are sort of, they got some ideas on why this is happening. It's they don't obviously know that Joseph is there before them, but they're putting a couple things together and saying, maybe we're being punished for something that we did wrong in the past. And what's, of course, the biggest thing they've done wrong is selling their brother, into slavery and pretending that he was dead and causing Jacob so much pain and torment. Then Reuben, of course, speaks up. Didn't I tell you? No one likes this guy. This I told you so attitude. Don't be that guy, Reuben. But nonetheless, he sort of gives him the I told you so. Don't do this. Well, hindsight is 2020, and it's not helping them at this moment in time. Joseph, hears everything because he knows Hebrew. He's Mama Loshen. He knows the mother tongue here. Right. And so he understands and he's emotional about it. He sort of hears their anxieties and their distress, and he sort of turns away and sheds a tear or two. But when he comes back, hard as nails, right? Same old junkyard dog, coming in and throwing Simeon in prison. So they had him bound and trussed and thrown into jail, which could not have been, a fun experience. The rest of them to see that moment. But Big Brother Simon is going to spend some time in the penitentiary.
Any theory as to why Simeon? Is it because he's the oldest?
A good question was asked. Any reason why it would have been Simeon as opposed to the other one? I think it is because, aside from Reuben, he is the oldest. And Joseph probably just heard Reuben, sort of his own confession saying, like, I told you not to be idiots, about this whole thing. And so maybe it's the next one down, and that's Simeon. That probably feels better, than locking up like Issachar. Like no one cares about Issachar, He's not even mentioned again,
We don't care about him if he was.
We don't care about him, like Naphtali, like no one cares about Naphtali. Like we got to get the big ones on the block here, so Simeon is there. Could have been Levi, could have been Judah, but okay, so Simeon's in prison, and the rest of them can go. Linda White, do you want to unmute and give us a little more here?
Then Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, return each one's money to his sack, and give them provisions for the journey. And this was done for them. So they loaded their donkeys with the rations and departed from there. As one of them was opening his sack to give feed to his donkey at the night encampment, he saw his money right there at the mouth of his bag.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Joseph, again, playing the mind games. He's on another level right now. Gave them not only the grain, but their money. And a little extra, some, pub subs for the road, some provisions for the journey. And that was done for them. And then, so they go, and then all of a sudden there's, we got all of our stuff back. What does this mean? And they don't know what it means. Linda, what do they think it means? And he says to his brothers.
And he said to his brothers, my money has been returned. It is here in my bag. Their hearts sank, and trembling, they turned to one another, saying, what is this that God has done to us?
Okay, so yeah, so I think they're thinking maybe again back to the idea of divine consequence, divine punishment for what they did. That it's not only Joseph or the vizier of Egypt that's messing with them, but perhaps God is also messing with them and punishing them for what happened. Any questions so far? Any thoughts? Okay, off we go. Karen, when they came.
When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had befallen them, saying, "The man who is Lord of the land spoke harshly to us and accused us of spying on the land. We said to him, 'We are being honest. We have never been spies. There were 12 of us, brothers, sons by the same father, but one is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in the land of Canaan.' But the man who is Lord of the land said to us, 'By this I shall know that you are being honest. Leave one of your brothers with me and take something for your starving households and be off. And bring your youngest brother to me that I may know that you are not spies, that you are being honest. I will then restore your brother to you and you shall be free to move about in the land.'"
You'll be free to move about the cabin when we're ready. With the seat 5 feet off, you can move about the cabin. Yeah, and so I think Karen, you're the one who mentioned last week that sometimes this gets a little bit redundant. This story gets a little bit redundant. We get a lot of just like, and he said blah 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 blah, blah for a paragraph and a half. So we get a lot of like retelling of the story, and so now the brothers go back to Jacob and just recap everything, and sort of letting Jacob know that he has to pony up. He has to send the youngest one, or else there are going to be problems.
Okay, so does Joseph have an Egyptian name?
Yes.
Because we just called him the Lord of the land. Didn't he have an Egyptian name?
Yeah, he has an Egyptian name. I don't remember the top of my head.
Petty Fours or something, I don't remember.
Exactly. Yeah, something like that. Something Panera bread. I don't remember what it was.
Started with a P, I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
But they kept calling him Lord of the Land.
Yeah, I was close. Yeah, Zaphanath Panea,
And then he was married to Potpourri.
And he's married to Potpourri. That's right.
Okay. All right, whatever.
It's a stop at IKEA. That's what we got. So it's good. So yeah, he has an Egyptian name. Again, the Egyptian garb, the Egyptian guards as well, I guess. The Egyptian wife, he's living the Egyptian life. An Egyptian life for him. So, yeah, but it's now Jacob's getting all this information. It has to be a lot. I mean, I would imagine it has to be a lot. I don't imagine the brothers were overly calm and circumspect in retelling the story. I imagine a lot of agitation and worried voices. And Jacob, who's not a young man anymore, I think probably needed some time to process all of this. But Jacob's still on his game, to be fair, and so he's going to try to sort this out with them. But we're getting more of the recap here. So Karen, give us some more recap as they were.
Sure. As they were emptying their sacks, there in each one sack was his money bag. When they and their father saw their money bags, they were dismayed. Their father Jacob said to them, "It is always me that you bereave. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more, and now you would take away Benjamin. These things always happen to me. Oh, woe is me."
Yeah, so Jacob perhaps not taking this with aplomb, as I probably mentioned. I don't think he was so keen on all of this. A little Jewish guilt. It's not always the mother, but the father can give you some of that Jewish guilt too. That has been my want as well. It's always me that you bereave. Oh my goodness, bring me such service. All that other good stuff. Joseph's no more, as if it was their fault, which of course it was their fault, but he doesn't know that. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. Now you're going to take away Benjamin too. Why do these things happen to me? Feels very, like old world. There's a lot of service, a lot of kvetching.
Sounds like my great grandmother.
Is right, like that's what it feels like. it's a lot of stress, a lot of guilt. Now, of course, Reuben here, by the way, gives one of the best lines in the entire Torah for like things not to say. I mean, talk about a dummy remark we're gonna get here, but this is sort of part of the culture. Melissa and or Tyler, you want to pick up the next one?
Okay. Then Reuben said to his father, "You may kill my two sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my care, and I will return him to you." But he said, "My son must not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is alone is left. If he meets with disaster on the journey you are taking, you will send my white head down to Sheol in grief."
Thank you for that. So what a lousy bargainer Reuben is. My God. Thanks, Dad. You know, we got a lot of not so great dads in this in Genesis. Reuben's taking it to another level. Oh, by the way, if we lose your son, you can kill my two sons. So we're just losing family left and right here. You know, yeah, sure, kill my grandkids. Why not? You know, like that'll teach me. like what stupid lesson is this he's going to impart? But nonetheless, here we are. Reuben, you just can't cut it. And so Reuben said, "Put him in my care, Benjamin in my care, I'll return him." And Jacob's like, "You know what? That's not happening right now. You know, his brother's dead, he's by himself." Which, by the way, Jacob is still a lot of favoritism here. It's not like, you know, he's doesn't have his other kids here. He didn't care about in the same way. But Benjamin, of course, is very protective of. And then if something bad happens to him, I'm going to go to my grave, basically. I'm going to go to my grave in grief. That's this, send my white head down to Sheol. Sheol, the idea here is like, it's not really a physical place of like, it's not a hell or whatever it is. It's just more like, you're going to send me into the earth. You know, you're going to send me into the ground in grief. It's not really about afterlife here specifically. It's just, this is where you go when you die, is basically into the ground, into the earth. And so again, Jacob's like, "You're going to kill me if you do this." A little bit of guilt. It's a knife in my heart, you know.
We'll name a good sandwich here.
Yeah, come on. I mean, come on, Reuben. Get it done. But, you know, can't convince him at this moment. And so, surprisingly, things aren't getting any better. The famine is still there. Remember, we have 7 years of this. They don't know that, but Joseph knows that. It's going to be 7 years, so we still got a ways to go on the supply chain issue. So, want to give me a little more, Tyler, but the famine?
Sure. But the famine in the land was severe, and when they had eaten up the rations which they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go again and procure some food for us." But Judah said to him, "The man has warned us. Do not let me see your faces unless your brother is with you. If you will let our brother go with us, we will go down and procure food for you. But if you will not let him go, we will not go down. For that man said to us, 'Do not let me see your faces unless your brother is with you.'"
Yeah, so we're going to give a different shot here. Reuben wasn't getting it done. And so Judah is going to step up here and give it a go. And try to see whether he can get dear old dad to relent. Meanwhile, by the way, Simeon's still in prison. You know, like he's down there not having a good time. You know, you might want to get a little bit more on the stick here, a little bit more expeditious to figure the situation out while your brother's rotting in prison. I'm just saying.
Jacob doesn't care.
Yeah, like Jacob's like, "Yeah, you know, it's fine. I got more of you, you know, I got more of that branch, you know, but not Benjamin." A little rough go for Simon, for Shimon. Okay, Melissa, you want to pick up there? And Israel said,
And Israel said, "Why did you serve me so ill as to tell the man that you had another brother?" They replied, "But the man kept asking about us and our family, saying, 'Is your father still living? Have you another brother?' And we answered him accordingly. How were we to know that he would say, 'Bring your brother here'?"
Yeah, why are you kvetching at me? You know, I mean, it's like,
I don't remember those questions.
yeah. Also, yeah, a note that you know, like with the father still living, I think that might have been in there somewhere. I don't remember Joseph asking about the brother at this point yet. So yeah, you're making these guys making it harder on themselves. But they said, bring your brother. Okay, and so again, Judah's going to give it a shot. Melissa, a little more.
Then Judah said to his father Israel, send the boy in my care, way that we may live and not die, you and we and our children. I myself will be surety for him. You may hold me responsible. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, I shall stand guilty before you forever. For we could have been there and back twice if we had not dawdled.
I would love to see the Hebrew for this, because I'm trying to figure out where the translator got the word dawdled from. It's a very good biblical word. It was dawdled. So nonetheless, that just struck me. So again, Judah's gonna make the attempt here and say, look, if we don't get him back, it's my fault. You can blame me. Again, I'm not sure how this helps Jacob out, but the idea is he can be blamed if this doesn't happen in the way that we need it to happen. Okay. But now again, we're swaying it in the right direction, at least. Gary, you want to pick up then their father Israel?
Okay. Then their father Israel said to them, if it must be so, do this. Take some of the choice products of the land in your baggage and carry them down as a gift for the man, some balm and some honey, gum, laudanum, pistachio nuts, and almonds. And take with you double the money, carrying it back with you, the money that was replaced in the mouths of your bags. Perhaps it was a mistake. Take your brother too, and go back at once to the man. And may El Shaddai dispose the man to mercy toward you, that he may release to you your other brother as well as Benjamin. As for me, if I am to be bereaved, I shall be bereaved.
Okay, so Jacob's sort of admitting here that maybe this is not in his control anymore, that he can't sort of control the situation any longer. Not some bad gifts. Some balm, it's good. You need a massage or something. I guess you get some balm and some healing ointments. A little honey. Honey is delicious. That's good. Let me see here. We have gum, which I'm pretty sure is gum resin. The laudanum I just Googled because I'm not sure what laudanum is. It's a
type of opiate.
A type of opiate. My goodness. It's really.
Or that's what it came to mean.
Yeah, that's what laudanum is.
My goodness, we're having a good time in Egypt.
For medical purposes.
Medical purposes, exactly.
Medical
opium. It's not like in a hashish house. That's what you're saying. That's not what it is. Okay, so some of that stuff. Pistachio nuts, always tasty. I like a good pistachio once in a while. A little high in salt. You get the unsalted ones, which aren't frankly as much fun. And the almonds. Almonds always tasty as well. A little honey, a little nuts. It's like Rosh Hashanah, like you'll have a good time and have the opium on the side. Okay, and we're going to take some of the money, getting double the money back, trying to make sure that it's not a problem. So yeah, he's there. It's like a negotiation with Jacob, and they finally get to a point with him where they get him to say yes. Eventually you have to get to a yes, or else the story is going to end. So Jacob has to finally give them permission, and Benjamin's got to get all saddled up so he can go down to Egypt, have himself a time. Okay,
I have a trivia question.
Sure.
All of a sudden he's Israel in here, Jacob. But before this, he was Jacob. He keeps going back and forth in here.
He does go back and forth in there, indeed, which is sort of confusing. It would be better if the biblical author decided to stick with one or the other, because it does seem a bit random. I do not doubt that there is a commentary or two that would try to explain this, but I think the explanation is closer to It's just how it was written, probably by more than one author, and they squished the stories together.
Okay.
Would be my guess. But a good question and a good catch on it. Okay. But where were we? Gary, you want to give me one more? So the agents.
Okay. So the agents took that gift, and they took with them double the money as well as Benjamin. They made their way down to Egypt, where they presented themselves to Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to his house steward, "Take those men into the house, slaughter and prepare an animal, for those men will dine with me at noon." The man did as Joseph said, and he brought the men into Joseph's house.
Okay, it's gonna be a party. I like that. That's nice. They're here. Now it's time to have a barbecue. We're gonna get a little cow on the grill, little cookout. I'm assuming it's a cow, but it could be other things. But I'm just making a guess. There's a lot of them, so you can't just like make an oven stuffer. It's like you got a lot of people to feed here. It's got to be, a lamb, I guess, or an ox.
You're used to not eating, so.
I don't know. It's like there's only so much meat on a drumstick, so you have to sort of figure this out. So they're gonna have a nice meal, a little dining, a little wine. It's gonna be nice. But the brothers are rightly a little bit suspicious. It doesn't feel great because the last time they were here, it wasn't the best of interactions. They're getting yelled at, one's getting thrown into prison, it's not a fun time. And all of a sudden they're, the guests of honor at a shindig at Joseph's house. So I think they're a little bit confused and a little frightened here. Marilyn, you want to do a little reading for us?
But the men were frightened at being brought into Joseph's house. It must be, they thought, because of the money were placed in our bags the first time that we have been brought inside, as a pretext to attack us and seize us as slaves with our pack animals.
Thank you, Marilyn. So they're expecting the worst. They're expecting that it's going to be an old switcheroo here again, but in a negative way. That they're going to be, accused of being thieves. They're going to be attacked and thrown into prison or be slaves, whatever it is. And so they aren't feeling so comfortable. And maybe Joseph knew that too, that they wouldn't feel so great about this experience. Marilyn, give me a little more.
So they went up to Joseph's house steward and spoke to him at the entrance of the house. "If you please, my lord," they said, "we have come down once before to procure food. But when we arrived at the night's encampment and opened our bags, there was each one's money at the mouth of his bag. Our money is in full. So we have brought it back with us, and we have brought down with us other money to procure food. We do not know who put the money in our bags."
Okay, so yes, they're confessing here a little bit. They're a little confused, and they don't want to get into any more trouble. I think they feel like they've been in enough trouble already. They're going to return what they think was an accidental refund. It's good to get a refund. It feels nice, but in this case, again, they're a little terrified, I think. But the steward's going to be very kind. Rick, you want to pick up there?
So I was looking at.
He replied, or the steward replied, "All is well."
Okay, he replied, "All is well with you. Do not be afraid. Your God, the God of your father, must have put treasure in your bags for you. I got your payment." And he bought out Simeon to them. Then the man brought the men into Joseph's house. He gave them water to bathe their feet, and he provided feed for their asses. They laid out their gifts to await Joseph's arrival at noon, for they had heard that they were to dine there.
Yeah, not bad, right? It should be good. You're going to put their mind at ease a little bit. A little water to bathe their feet. It's nice. When I get home, Elizabeth has the basin for me and she washes my feet when I enter. I should be so lucky. I'm not
I
sure.
have one more question, Rabbi. All this food that's out there in the back, there's sweets or treats out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been dipping in the sweets today?
Yeah, not today. All I know is that it doesn't work so well today. I gotta be very careful. There's too much good food around. Doesn't work. It's yeah, no sweets, no treats, and no more mimosas today. That was on Sunday. We had the mimosas for those of us who were there at the tea and tequila event on Sunday. It was a good time. Okay. I didn't actually scroll away. I see Debbie's here and Barbara's here. So Debbie, you want to give me a read here when Joseph came home? You muted yourself, Debbie. You gotta unmute.
Okay.
There you go.
When Joseph came home, they presented him the gifts that they had brought with them into the house, bowing low before him to the ground. He greeted them and he said, "How is your aged father of whom you spoke? Is he still in good health?" They replied, "It is well with your servant, our father. He is still in good health." And they bowed and made obeisance.
Yeah. So again, same deal as sort of before. You gotta bow. You gotta be courteous. Gotta be respectful. This is your superior, so to speak, at least in this land. This is not a democracy, and so it's time to get a little dusty, as we used to say. You get those knees a little dusty, and so they bow and they say the right words. Oh, great vizier of Egypt, or whatever it is. You have to do the ritual, so to speak, like whatever it might be. But it's also nice. And he asked about how their father is, so there's a little give and take there. It's nice that he cares, right? The brothers are probably like, why does he care? But it's nice of him to ask. Got to make some pleasant chit chat. Debbie, give me one more looking about.
Looking about, he saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and asked, "Is this your youngest brother of whom you spoke to me?" And he went on, "May God be gracious to you, my boy." With that, Joseph hurried out, for he was overcome with feeling towards his brother and was on the verge of tears. He went into a room and wept there. Then he washed his face, reappeared, and now in control of himself, gave the order, "Serve the meal."
There are no cell phones at that point, so you couldn't blame it on getting a phone call or getting an important text. He just had to sort of run out of the room, make an excuse, and get out there. You couldn't imagine, I guess, that he's such a powerful guy that it wouldn't be a shock to get other responsibilities. But really, he sees Benjamin. He's emotional. You also have to remember, I don't know how old Benjamin was when the whole ordeal happened, when he was sold into slavery. I mean, I don't get the impression he was that old when it happened. So it must be hard for him, because he didn't get to sort of grow up with his brother in the same way as he did with his other Michigas family. So it's probably very emotional to sort of see him there, a little more grown up, et cetera, et cetera. But very emotional again. So he gets himself control, watches his face, straighten out the mascara, because he was probably wearing mascara. I mean, this was Egypt, and so he was probably had a little bit of makeup on. He had to reapply, I'm sure. That's, again, just my guess. And now it's time to eat, time to serve the meal. Rabbi's favorite part. It's dinner time over here. Barbara, tell me about dinner. What do we got here?
They served him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves. For the Egyptians could not dine with the Hebrews, since that would be abhorrent to the Egyptians. As they were seated by his direction, from the oldest in the order of his seniority to the youngest in the order of his youth, the men looked at one another in astonishment. Portions were served them from his table, but Benjamin's portion was several times that of anyone else, and they drank their fill with him.
My goodness. Yeah, it's an interesting passage, So basically it's like a segregated, experience, because you have to picture, I think, Joseph like at the top of the dais, like he's sort of like in an elevated position. And then all of the Hebrews, the brothers, are sort of on one side of the room, and the other Egyptians who were there as part of the court are on the other side of the room. So everyone is sort of in a different place. And this sentence here, they were seated by his direction, from the oldest to the youngest. From the oldest in the order of his seniority to the youngest, exactly. So he sort of placed all the brothers in order, which is no easy feat. There's 10 of them, and that it wasn't like there was a lot of age difference in between his brothers. So it's supposed to be like a really cool, almost a parlor trick, that he knew exactly how to, line up all the brothers. Ooh, he's magical. He can do this. I'm 15, I'm 16. He knew. It's like. And so that was pretty awesome. And then Benjamin gets several times more than everyone else, which I can't imagine how that looks. That's crazy town. I mean,
even in Egypt, they like her kids better.
Yeah, exactly. Even in Egypt, he's getting more food than anyone. What is this? The brothers can't catch a break. It's like Joseph and Benjamin are always the favorites. He's just so darn cute. And I gotta tell you, if I gave my Benjamin, my Benji, more food than his other two brothers, they wouldn't be thrilled. He's two. He doesn't need, a porterhouse steak, and they get, 3 ounces of meat. That wouldn't go very well in the house. Benji would be thrilled, but I think the only portion he gets double of his donuts. That's what he takes them. He grabs those glazed donuts and just eats them pretty quick when no one's looking. But we find out when the box is empty and his face is full of glaze, he's not really good at subterfuge. Again, he's 2. So, it's easy enough to bust him on it. But Benjamin gets more food than everyone else. Delicious. Gets all that good meat, and they drink together. It's like a party. Everyone's getting along. So isn't that nice? It's good to have you let your guard down a little bit, you have good conversation. But Joseph isn't done messing with his brothers. Barbara, give me a little more than he instructed.
Then he instructed his house steward as follows: fill the men's bags with food, as much as they can carry, and put each one's money in the mouth of his bag. Put my silver goblet in the mouth of the bag of the youngest one, together with his money for the rations. And he did as Joseph told him. With the first light of morning, the men were set off with their pack animals. They had just left the city and had not gone far when Joseph said to his house steward, "Up, go after those men. And when you overtake them, say to them, 'Why did you repay good with evil? It is the very one from which my master drinks, and which he uses for divination. It was a wicked thing for you to do.'"
So this poor steward has no idea what's going on either. Didn't you just tell me to, put the cup, and now we're chasing him down like a Western, running after him to corral them back here. And so it's a little skit he's putting on, which he is. And so they put the silver cup in Benjamin's bag, and then Joseph tells the steward, "Go get him back here and tell them why, yell at them for stealing my wine goblet." Divination. Pretty cool. Ancient form of sort of prophecy. You would use, different things. In this case, he uses a cup. Usually there's like wine in the cup, and the patterns that it makes, you can sort of see things in the cup or whatever it is. Lots of fun ways to do divination. Chicken bones were a fun one. You get to you have the animal bones, and you sort of like Yahtzee. You sort of throw them out, and whatever pattern they have, that's what's going to happen. Or flights of birds. There's a lot of different ways that people could think about the prophecies, from seeing whatever they were meant to be seeing. And so the wine cup can be used to see the future in some way. And that's how he knew how to seat the brothers, because the wine cup told him how to do it. It's like the sorting hat. It's the divination cup. Gryffindor. So anyway, so fine that they're running, and now again the steward is there. He overtakes them, speaks these words, and they said to him, "What are you talking about? What does my lord say such things? Far be it from your servants to do anything of the kind. Here we brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money we found in the mouths of our bags. How then could we have stolen any silver or gold from your master's house? Whichever of your servants it is found with shall die, not helpful. And the rest of us, moreover, shall become slaves to my Lord. You got to stop talking.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. I mean, it's like, it's not bright. You got to, just, put a little zip on the lip there. Just don't put yourself in a bad situation. But of course they do. Put themselves in a bad spot here. At least check the bags first.
Maybe if you Mirandize them first, they would know to shit them out.
Yeah, there's no Miranda here. I mean, you just give them something, but they're just digging the hole deeper, and then they hit bottom and they get past the shovel, and they keep digging themselves in an even deeper hole. Because of course, he replied, although what you are proposing is right, only the one with whom it is found shall be my slave. The rest of you shall go free. So they, lowered the bag to the ground. Each of them opened it. So they start searching, beginning with the oldest. You have to have the drama, right? It's sort of like, it's no fun if you just find it in Benjamin's bag. You have to go through each one. You hear the Law and Order music playing, instead of going through each bag. And then, of course, the goblet turned up in Benjamin's bag. At this, they rent their clothes, give it a little tear, and then each reloaded the pack animal and they returned to the city. Could not have been a fun trip back to Egypt, I would wager. I think there was going to be a lot of consternation on that ride home. Why did you say that? That was a stupid thing to say. Now we're all in trouble. And so they're going back to the city. And of course, the whole point is that Benjamin was the one they have to keep safe. That's now it's going to set up sort of the final test, so to speak. The final part of this drama is the confrontation regarding Benjamin, regarding his fate, what's going to happen from there. And that's going to be the test to see if the brothers perhaps have changed their ways and are not willing to sacrifice Benjamin because they know what it's going to do to their poor aged father to not send his white head down to Sheol, right? They have to figure out what they're going to do here. Sharon, you want to pick up here when Judah?
When Judah and his brothers re-entered the house of Joseph, who was still there, they threw themselves on the ground before him. Joseph said to them, "What is this deed that you have done? Do you not know that a man like me practiced divination?" Judah replied, "What can we say to my lord? How can we plead? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered the crime of your servants. Here we are then, slaves of my lord, the rest of us as much as he in whose possession the goblet was found." But he replied, "Far be it from me to act thus. Only the one in whose possession the goblet was found shall be my slave. The rest of you go back in peace to your father."
So an attempt perhaps at some nobility from the brothers, a sense of communal collective responsibility. They don't want to abandon Benjamin here to be Joseph's slave. They're all in it together, all for one and one for all. They're going to all stick together in Egypt and be slaves. But Joseph isn't having it. We're just going to take Benjamin. Y'all can hit the bricks, and go back to Canaan. And so again, they have this issue. What are they going to do? How are they going to sort this out? Judah's doing all the talking. We've heard enough from Reuben already. Reuben's got nothing right. And so Judah is taking on the actual conversations with Joseph. Judah, of course, being, probably the most respected of the brothers at this point. So Judah's going to do the talking. Leah, you want to pick up there, then Judah? It's got on mute.
Then Judah went up to him and said, "Please, my lord, let your servant appeal to my lord, and do not be impatient with your servant, you who are the equal of Pharaoh. My lord asked his servants, 'Have you a father or another brother?' We told my Lord, we have an old father, and there is a child of his old age, the youngest. His full brother is dead, so that he alone is left of his mother, and his father dotes on him.
Sort of a fun paragraph, but yeah, he's giving the recap here of the family history. Hey, this is it. Like this is the one from his mother. It's the youngest sort of one. The other brother's gone, and so he's the memory. He's what's left of Rachel in Jacob's eyes. So the father dotes on him. Everyone dotes on him. He gets 5 times the meat as everyone else, even in Egypt. Everyone loves Benjamin. Okay, Linda White, you want to pick up there?
Then you said to your servants, bring him down to me, that I may set eyes on him. We said to my Lord, the boy cannot leave his father. If he were to leave him, his father would die. But you said to your servants, unless your youngest brother comes down with you, do not let me see your faces. When we came back to you, your servant, my father, we reported my Lord's words to him.
Yeah, so just recapping the whole story. Judah's got a lot to say. Karen, want to get a little more here? Later, our father said, go back and procure some food for us. We answered, we cannot go down, only if our youngest brother is with us can we go down, for we may not show our faces to the man, unless our youngest brother is with us. Your servant, my father, said to us, as you know, my wife bore me 2 sons, but one is gone from me, and I said, alas, he was torn by a beast, and I have not seen him since. If you take this one from me too, and he meets with disaster, you will send, we're back to that. You will send my white head down to Sheol in sorrow. Here we go again. Yeah, so again, we're just getting the whole thing. You'll notice here there's a little bit more detail, right? Here, and we get this torn by the beast sort of part. It's important in a way because Joseph doesn't really know the story. His own story in a way. He knows he was sold into slavery, obviously, but he doesn't know what happened afterwards in terms of what the family dynamic was. What did they tell his father? What did they tell Jacob, that happened to him? Did they say, oh, we sold him into slavery? Probably not. So there has to be some kind of closure with Jacob. And so now Joseph has this information that they told the father that he was dead. And that really is an important fact for Joseph to know, to get a sense of maybe what his father knew and didn't know this whole experience. It's not only about the brothers, let's say, but it's also about the father as well.
We're going to get a timeline here, like 10 years, 20 years.
In terms of Judah's monologue taking so long, or just
No, sorry. No, in terms of from the pit to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, we get a little bit here and a little bit there. Like we have a sense of the 7 years of plenty have gone. So it's at least 7 years. And I think he was in prison for at least 2 years, right? And so I think that we're sort of in, as you sort of said, that 10 to 15, maybe 10 to even 20-year range from the time that he was sold into slavery to this moment in time now.
Okay.
So it's been at least a decade, I would say. Gary, you want to pick up now if I come?
Okay. Now if I come to your servant, my father, and the boy is not with us, since his own life is so bound up with his, when he sees that the boy is not with us, he will die, and your servants will send the white head of your servant, our father, down to Sheol in grief.
Oh, that white head down to Sheol. Because he's aged, he's old. And almost there. Marilyn, you want to give another paragraph here? Now your servant.
Sure. Now your servant has pledged himself for the boy to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, I shall stand guilty before my father forever. Therefore, please let your servant remain as a slave to my Lord instead of the boy, and let the boy go back with his brothers. For how can I go back to my father unless the boy is with me? Let me not be the witness to the woe that would overtake my father.
Oh, thank you for that. And so here we see, and that is the end of his little speech there, and we're going to stop for now. But as again, a spoiler, as we all know, that's what really breaks Joseph. This idea of Judah being willing to sacrifice himself for his other brother, for Benjamin. That is what really gets to Joseph. That makes him feel better about his brothers, sort of like the emotional floodgates open about that, self-sacrifice, but also I think obviously about his father as well, that he really doesn't want to hurt Jacob. He doesn't want to hurt his father. And now that he has a better understanding of what happened and what Jacob's understanding of what happened was, I think that helps him too. And so now he's ready to sort of, reveal himself to his brothers, to forgive them, to forgive Jacob, I think, even as well, for not looking for him and trying to find him, because who knows what Jacob knew at that point. I mean, he didn't know anything. Yeah.
Does it take about 6 days to walk from Israel to Egypt?
How long is the walk?
6 days, approximately?
I don't know. I have never done it. I mean, like, I have no idea how long it would take from. So I don't know from where Canaan is. Where in Canaan they were, like north or south, right? I don't know where they were. And then to get into Egypt from there, I'm sure it would take a little schlepping.
I've heard that with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, it took 6 days when they escaped from King Herod.
Yeah, but they had better sandals. I don't know. I have no idea how long it takes.
And one last question: is it all desert, or is there any fertile ground on the way from?
I think it's a lot of sand and rock. I gotta tell you, I don't imagine it. Like they didn't have like the highway back then, so it's like I think it was really just. I mean, I don't know. They might have had some smoother terrain than others, but I would imagine it was a schlep and a half to sort of get there. Jesus was in Nazareth, and so he was in the West Bank. All right, because that's in the West Bank, so he would have to cross over, Israel proper and Gaza to get to Egypt.
Post-Roman times, they built roads everywhere.
And Roman times we had roads and we had aqueducts and whatever else it might be, and vomitoriums, I think too, right? They ate a lot of food. Yeah.
But there were established trade routes to follow in those days.
Yeah, so it was a little easy.
It was all marked out. They knew where to go.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were just out wandering around.
Yes, I would imagine it probably took Joseph's brothers a skosh more time than it did for Mary and Joseph and Jesus to schlep. I also know they were carrying, because like Joseph's brothers had all that stuff to carry. I mean, they had the whole caravan, and I think that actually takes longer, right? I don't know what. The other family had going for them, how many like camels and donkeys they were over. Was that before they had the bags of silver and frankincense and myrrh?
No, they would have had it by then.
They would have.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
It's from his birth.
It's from his birth. It was a while ago. Yeah. And of course, like for all of our gospel folks, that this story of the whole Egypt flight, I don't think appears in every gospel. I think it only appears in Matthew, because from out of Egypt I called my son, and so the author of Matthew needed to have Jesus to be in Egypt so we can have the allusion to earlier prophecy. But that's another class for another day. Okay, when I get my gospel teachings on, it's getting late. Yeah.
Who was the brother who saved Joseph? Like, were they going to kill him initially?
Yeah, so Reuben was going to save Joseph, and then he went out to get a cup of tea or something, and then Joseph was gone. Like, what happened? He didn't get the job done. Okay, It is 8:06. We are a little over time, but that's okay. It's great to see everyone, of course. Same bat time, same bat channel next week. We'll be here together to finish up a little bit of Joseph and his brothers and get the U-Haul, get the moving vans. We got to get everyone down to Egypt. And so that's going to be next week. And Pharaoh's fear of shepherds. So we'll find out why next week. You tune in, okay?
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
Bye.
My pleasure, everybody. Great seeing everyone.